Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of the Gospel in 40 Days for Lent. Today we're going to read through Matthew chapter 27 and chapter 28. Before we get started, if you do enjoy the music that you hear at the beginning of this episode, please click the link in the description to buy that album. It was recorded by the St. Peter's Choir of New Hamburg, Ontario, and my good friend is the conductor. The money goes to supporting traditional Catholic choir music, which is a good thing. Also, I am going to Italy this November with Father Albert Callio. It is a once-in-a-lifetime pilgrimage opportunity, very well priced considering what is given. I'll be giving talks on the tour. We'll be visiting some of the most beautiful shrines in Italy, as well as some of the most beautiful locations, because in the old Roman Empire, they go hand in hand. Check the link in the description for that. And lastly, if you do want to have some premium benefits for subscribing, you can become a YouTube member or a Substack subscriber. You can click the links for both of those in the show notes. You can sign up for the YouTube membership for as little as, I think, $3 a month. I do this as a labor of love, but there's no such thing as a free lunch, as they say, and these things take time and so forth. And I'd like to release more of this sort of audio devotional material for people because I know they appreciate it. But of course, it doesn't make waves and get crazy amounts of views and things like that, which is fine because we don't expect it to. But I do want to be able to keep doing it. So all the support does help me continue in that effort. And with all that said, I will get to the topic at hand. Matthew chapter 27. And when morning was come, all the chief priests and ancients of the people took counsel against Jesus, that they might put him to death. And they brought him bound and delivered him to Pontius Pilate the governor. Then Judas, who betrayed him, seeing that he was condemned, repenting himself, brought back the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and ancients, saying, I have sinned in betraying innocent blood. But they said, What is that to us? Look thou to it. And casting down the pieces of silver in the temple, he departed, and went and hanged himself with an halter. But the chief priests, having taken the pieces of silver, said, It is not lawful to put them into the corbona, because it is the price of blood. And after they had consulted together, they bought with them the potter's field, to be a burying place for strangers. For this cause the field was called Haceldama, that is, the field of blood, even to this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Jeremiah the prophet, saying, And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of him that was prized, whom they prized of the children of Israel. And they gave them unto the potter's field, as the Lord appointed to me. And Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, Art thou the King of the Jews? Jesus saith to him, Thou sayest it. And when he was accused by the chief priests and ancients, he answered nothing. Then Pilate saith to him, Dost not thou hear how great testimonies they allege against thee? And he answered him to never a word, so that the governor wondered exceedingly. Now upon the solemn day the governor was accustomed to release to the people one prisoner, whom they would. And he had then a notorious prisoner that was called Barabbas. They therefore, being gathered together, Pilate said, Whom will you that I release to you, Barabbas, or Jesus that is called Christ? For he knew that for envy they had delivered him. And as he was sitting in the place of judgment, his wife sent to him, saying, Have thou nothing to do with that just man, for I have suffered many things this day in a dream because of him. But the chief priests and ancients persuaded the people that they should ask for Barabbas and take Jesus away. And the governor answering said to them, Whether will you of the two to be released unto you? But they said, Barabbas. Pilate saith to them, What shall I do then with Jesus that is called Christ? They say all, Let him be crucified. The governor said to them, Why? What evil hath he done? But they cried out the more, saying, Let him be crucified. And Pilate, seeing that he prevailed nothing, but that rather a tumult was made, taking water, washed his hands before the people, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just man. Look you to it. And the whole people answering said, His blood be upon us and our children. Then he released to them Barabbas, and having scourged Jesus, delivered him unto them to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor, taking Jesus into the hall, gathered together unto him the whole band, and stripping him, they put a scarlet cloak about him, and platting a crown of thorns, they put it upon his head, and a reed in his right hand. And bowing the knee before him, they mocked him, saying, Hail, King of the Jews! And spitting upon him, they took the reed, and struck his head. And after they had mocked him, they took off the cloak from him, and put on him his own garments, and led him away to crucify him. And going out, they found a man of Cyrene, named Simon. Him they forced to take up his cross. And they came to the place that is called Golgotha, which is the place of Calvary. And they gave him wine to drink mingled with gall. And when he had tasted, he would not drink. And after they had crucified him, they divided his garments, casting lots, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, They divided my garments among them, and upon my vesture they cast lots. And they sat and watched him, and they put over his head his cause written, This is Jesus, the King of the Jews. Then were crucified with him 2 thieves, one on the right hand, and one on the left. And they that passed by blasphemed him, wagging their heads, and saying, Va, thou that destroyest the temple of God, and in 3 days dost rebuild it, save thy own self. If thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. In like manner also the chief priests, with the scribes and ancients mocking, said, He saved others, himself he cannot save. If he be the King of Israel, let him now come down from the cross, and we will believe him. He trusted in God, let him now deliver him, if he will have him, for he said, I am the Son of God. And the selfsame thing the thieves also, that were crucified with him, reproached him with. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over the whole earth until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour Jesus cried with a loud voice, saying, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani? That is, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? And some that stood there and heard said, This man calleth Elias. And immediately one of them running took a sponge and filled it with vinegar, and put it on a reed, and gave him to drink. But the others said, Let be, let us see whether Elias will come to deliver him. And Jesus again crying with a loud voice yielded up the ghost. And behold, the veil of the temple was rent in two from the top even to the bottom, and the earth quaked, and the rocks were rent. And the graves were opened, and many bodies of the saints that had slept arose, and coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, came into the holy city, and appeared to many. Now the centurion and they that were with him watching Jesus, having seen the earthquake, and the things that were done, were sore afraid, saying, Indeed, this was the Son of God. And there were many women afar off, who had followed Jesus from Galilee, ministering unto him, among whom was Mary Magdalene, and Mary the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee. And when it was evening, there came a certain rich man of Arimathea, named Joseph, who also himself was a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked the body of Jesus. Then Pilate commanded that the body should be delivered. And Joseph, taking the body, wrapped it up in a clean linen cloth, and laid it in his own new monument, which he had hewed out in a rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the monument, and went his way. And there was Mary Magdalene, and the other Mary sitting over against the sepulchre. And the next day, which followed the day of preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees came together to Pilate, saying, Sir, we have remembered that the seducer said, while he was yet alive, After 3 days I will rise again. Command therefore the sepulchre to be guarded until the 3rd day, lest perhaps his disciples come and steal him away, and say to the people, He is risen from the dead, and the last error shall be worse than the first. Pilate saith to them, You have a guard, go, guard it as you know. And they departing made the sepulchre sure, sealing the stone and setting guards. Chapter 28. And in the end of the Sabbath, when it began to dawn towards the 1st day of the week, came Mary Magdalene and the other Mary to see the sepulchre. And behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven, and coming, rolled back the stone, and sat upon it. And his countenance was as lightning, and his raiment as snow. And for fear of him the guards were struck with terror, and became as dead men. And the angel answering said to the women, Fear not you, for I know that you seek Jesus, who was crucified. He is not here, for he is risen, as he said. Come, and see the place where the Lord was laid. And going quickly, tell ye his disciples that he is risen, and behold, he will go before you into Galilee. There you shall see him. Lo, I have foretold it to you. And they went out quickly from the sepulchre with fear and great joy, running to tell his disciples. And behold, Jesus met them, saying, All hail! But they came up and took hold of his feet and adored him. Then Jesus said to them, Fear not. Go, tell my brethren that they go into Galilee. There they shall see me. Who when they were departed, behold, some of the guards came into the city, and told the chief priests all that had been done. And they being assembled together with the ancients, taking counsel, gave a great sum of money to the soldiers, saying, Say you, his disciples came by night, and stole him away when we were asleep. And if the governor shall hear this, we will persuade him, and secure you. So they, taking the money, did as they were taught, and this word was spread abroad among the Jews even unto this day. And the 11 disciples went into Galilee, unto the mountain where Jesus had appointed them. And seeing him they adored, but some doubted. And Jesus coming spoke to them, saying, All power is given to me in heaven and in earth. Go therefore, teach ye all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost, teaching them to observe all things whatsoever I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you all days, even to the consummation of the world. One last thing, I should add that you're listening to this on Tuesday, and I'm actually going to be gone traveling for the day, and I won't have time given the schedule to record to have one for Wednesday. So the next edition will be on Thursday of this week, and then I'll make sure that I'll have one for the Sunday, which I don't usually post on, to make sure that we get all that we need in this week. So if you're missing it on the Wednesday, don't worry, there'll be an extra one for the rest of the week. So just keep that in mind. This concludes another edition of the Gospel in 40 Days.